Hey there! You're listening to the BKDK podcast, hosted by Mimi the BKDK for the BKDKs, plus Ultra! Hi. Well, if you're listening to this in the future, by that I mean you just finished episode 1, and for some reason you want to continue hearing me talk, and you came here, it's probably like, oh yeah, whatever. I guess, so, here's a bit of context. I recorded that episode 1, like, 3 months ago? So, actually, wait, when did I record that episode? Let me see. This file on my computer, I created in July 26th. On my computer. I don't know when I actually uploaded it to the internet. Only future Mimi will know. But yeah, this second recording is happening in September. Why? Because life exists. COVID-19 exists. By the way, with COVID-19, I hope you all are staying safe, wearing masks. If you're in America, like, please wear a mask. Please don't be silly. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're not wearing a mask, like, stop. I'm sorry, just please, no more. Please wear a mask, and then I'll consider letting you listen to my podcast some more. But yeah, it's been hard. Life's been busy. I'm busy with work. I'm pretty sure you're busy with whatever you got, which is, it could be school, you could be working as well, but that doesn't matter because now you're here in Mimi the BKDK's space. Oh god, that's so weird to say. I'm gonna start saying Katsudeku. But you're in this space now, and we're gonna talk about BKDK. As you know, this is the BKDK podcast, where we are going to analyze Boku no Hero Academia, but through the lenses of BKDK being canon. I mean, it is. So there's gonna be a lot of, like, shippy commentary, but also I'm gonna try to also legitimately analyze why BKDK, or Katsudeku, is such a good dynamic. Why is it so engaging? Why is, Kacchan important to Deku's development? Is he actually important to, Deku's development? Are BKDK just crazy? Are we all just like, we see these two boys and we're like, oh, they got a smooch? No. I'm going to try to find evidence in the text, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to break down panels, I'm going to break down the dialogue, and by the way, I personally am collecting the Japanese manga, so I don't have the English translation. There is no middleman. The middleman is me. And keep in mind, take my Japanese translations with a grain of salt. I can't remember if I said this in my overview episode, but I took Japanese in college. I took 3 classes. I did an exchange program. Not going to Japan, but language exchange programs, that's what it was. And I talked with someone, conversationally in Japanese a little bit, but basically my reading skills aren't that great. And it's also been a while. I obviously do not practice my Japanese very often, conversationally, and my reading skills / writing skills, like, please don't test me within kanji, okay? I won't be able to tell you. But that being said, the shonen manga in general, or a lot of them, I don't know if it's for all, they do have furigana, which means there's like little characters, hiragana on the side of all the kanji. So I can read the stuff, and then, context clues and my anime knowledge will let me kind of figure out what it is. And worst case scenario, I will consult the anime or the official English translation if I really can't figure it out. But that is it, and let's dive right in. Actually, wait, before we dive right in, let me kind of give you a summary of what was episode 1. Why? Because I needed a summary of episode 1. I don't remember what I talked about 2 months ago. So the last points I made, and I was trying to set up for, this episode, was how Kacchan is one of the 3 obstacles Deku must face in order to become a hero, or start his, journey to becoming a hero. And I guess I should have meant that. Not just a hero, the greatest hero. If you remember, one of the obstacles is 1, All Might. 2 is his mom. And then 3 is Kacchan. And as you know, if you're, caught up with the anime and the manga, you will know that All Might in episode 1 of the anime, or chapter 1 of the manga, All Might tells him, hey, actually, you know what I said about you not being a hero? You can't be a hero? Cannot be a hero? I lied. You can be a hero. So, one obstacle will, be kicked off, or that obstacle will kick the bucket in this episode, in this chapter, or episode 1 of the anime. And then the next two obstacles, which is his mom and Kacchan, are next. Although you can argue, and I will argue this, Kacchan as the obstacle starts, I guess, getting taken down in this episode. But there's that. Kacchan as an obstacle represents society, represents everything that keeps Deku from being a hero. For example, Kacchan has a quirk. Deku doesn't have a quirk. You don't have a quirk, you can't be a hero. When someone like Kacchan, who is always saying that, starts to see otherwise, you also start to see Deku's journey to becoming a hero really blossom. The second point I made in that episode 1 is, if you remember, Kacchan and Deku are childhood friends. In episode 1 of the anime / chapter 1 of the manga, they make this very, very clear. Horikoshi even has one of Kacchan's minions say that explicitly. And I guess after that, I harped on how I didn't think Kacchan is a bully. You can you can listen to episode 1 again about why I think that's the case. I'm not going to really explain it again. I mean, I probably will in this episode, because I just love apologizing for Kacchan's behavior, Kacchan, he can't do anything wrong, he's just a snotty, mean boy. But yes, I said Kacchan is Deku's childhood friend. I don't think he's a bully, and Deku isn't someone he needs to torment, because Kacchan is very practical, and he's a reactive person. So he has a very specific worldview, and if there's a person who does not fit in his worldview, who challenges his worldview, he will react. He's gonna be like, excuse me, who are you? I am king, you bow down to me, that kind of thing. And you can argue, like, oh, well, that's what bullies are, right? Bullies have this very specific worldview, they're top on the world and whatever. Yeah, you can go ahead with that. But when I'm saying he has a very specific worldview, I'm more so talking about kind of like the worldview that shonen protagonists in general have. So shonen protagonists, they have a tunnel vision almost when it comes to their goal. So I kind of brought this up in episode 1 too, but I think Kacchan is a shonen protagonist. And you can find videos, just general anime videos by anime YouTubers that go into this, and they argue that Kacchan is a shonen protagonist. But yes, shonen protagonists, if you've watched enough shonen, you'll notice that they have one goal, and like everything in their life revolves around that one goal. If it doesn't, then they're an enemy. They're probably an antagonist. They're probably a villain. They're probably someone they need to fight for like 50 chapters. Kacchan is like that. Here's examples of why he's a shonen protagonist. 1, he wants to be a hero. He literally says that in like the early scenes, and I covered this in episode 1. And when Deku, says that he's gonna become a hero, 2, he's gonna go to UA, which disrupts, Kacchan's like, I'm gonna be the greatest hero, and like, this is what greatest heroes mean. It means like, I'm gonna, come from mediocre high school, I'm the only one. Kacchan thinks he has to fight, he has to be like, whoa, I got a rival, a challenger has appeared, that's Deku. And that's why he reacts, and he's just like, yo, Deku, don't go to UA. Not, you suck, and I hate you, but don't go to UA, and I'm gonna try to convince you to not go to UA by being really, really awful. And Deku is like, this is really kind of out of character for you? Or maybe not out of character, but like, he's just like, this, you really went overboard this time. Like, you're butt, but like, this was like special butt, But yes, again, Kacchan is trying to make sure his worldview is not attacked or broken. To him making sure that Deku didn't go to UA, him saying such horrible things was a necessity. He doesn't do it because, he has nothing better to do, Bullies don't have anything better to do. They're feeling kind of sorry for themselves, and they'll just walk around and they'll pick on, someone who's weak. No, Kacchan will not go after Deku if there's no reason to. But Deku posed a threat to his worldview. Deku threatened his goal. Deku is trying to be like, I want to be the greatest hero too. But there was only one greatest hero in Kacchan's mind. That's him. And Deku can't be that, so therefore Deku has to go down. Very shonen protagonist, thinking, very tunnel vision. Yeah. Last but not least, this is something I think I'll cover more later in later episodes when Kacchan and Deku have more interactions. But Kacchan and Deku are in a very strange space right now. They're in a space where their interactions are weird. Their interactions are weird. By weird, I mean they're contradictory. These two boys are personal, but they're also not close to each other. So Kacchan and Deku, they're childhood friends. They know each other very well. They know how they act, they know what they think, but at the same time, they don't know what they think. And they don't know how... Oops, I dropped something. But yes, they don't know how they think, and they don't... It's like... So... Okay, let me rephrase this. Kacchan and Deku's interactions are weird. By weird, I mean they're contradictory. Kacchan and Deku both are personal. They have personal motivations, and they're the way they act is very personal to each other, but at the same time, it's very distant. So Kacchan and Deku, because they're childhood friends, they, know things about each other that you wouldn't know if you just made friends with them, like on the spot. They'll have memories, they have a history together. But at the same time, because of the difference society has forced between them, so, Kacchan has a quirk, Deku doesn't have a quirk, they cannot act the same way as they do before. They have to act with some distance. They have to keep each other, a little bit farther away from each other. But at the same time, it's just like, but we know each other. Like, think about it. How should you react to someone you think highly of? And this is a point that I'm gonna harp on in this episode for sure. But how do you treat someone you think of highly, but logically has no value? So Kacchan, he doesn't really think Deku is worthless, but he thinks he's worthless at the same time, because worth should be based on your quirk, should be based on if you can be a hero, right? That's Kacchan's worldview. The most important thing to Kacchan is, are you a hero? Can you be a hero? Are you strong in terms of, hero power? Are you, do you have a powerful quirk? Can I fight you? Deku can't do any of these things, but Deku is also undoubtedly a hero. Deku saves him in this episode. That confirms exactly why Kacchan is scared. He knows that if Deku had a quirk, he could stand in the same arena. So with that said, let's get right into analyzing these pages. So in the last episode, I believe I left off, based on my bookmark, where Deku just beats All Might, and All Might just captured the sludge villain, and All Might is flying into the air, and Deku, has captured his leg, and is like, please, I want to talk to you, and All Might's like, shit. And then we cut to the next page, or the next scene, which is Kacchan and Ko. So, in this cut, it starts off with the sludge monster. He's landed, in this shopping district. He's opening his eyes, and then he's just cursing All Might. And then we see that Kacchan kicks the sludge monster in the bottle aside. And he says, in response to his lackeys saying like, hey, didn't you go too far with Deku? Aren't you like childhood friends? Both of them say that too. So let me quote what they said. So the guy that is smoking, he has black hair. He's I believe the Mimichi guy from episode 1. Oh, he's so petty guy. He says, お前さ、幼馴染なんじゃねえの? Which means, hey, aren't you childhood friends? And then Longfinger's guy, he's like, さすがに今日のはやりすぎ. Yeah, today he went overboard. And then in like direct response, Kacchan's like, he was standing in my way and it was his fault. 俺の道にいたのが悪い. And then after that he says, just seeing him with the dreams he had as, when we were kids, makes me so angry. This is literally, ガキのまま夢心地のバカはよ、見てて腹が立つ. Literally, it makes him sick to his stomach. Seeing the dreams he had as a kid. And, he explodes the soda can. And then his lackeys are like, whoa! So, I want to break down these, these 3 dialogue bubbles that Kacchan has given us. So, let's kind of like take the stance that Kacchan and Deku, they're bully and victim. Yes, they had a past, but they're bully and victim. Why would the bully get mad about Deku having dreams? Why does that make him sick to his stomach? If Kacchan was a bully, who cares? Isn't it good enough that Deku is quirkless and he just pisses you off? No, it's because Deku has dreams from when they were children. He's literally thinking about when they were children, about their bond. Deku has meaning to him, and seeing him in the previous scenes disappoints him, and makes him mad. And also, I guess to harp on the earlier point, where I said that, Kacchan has a very specific worldview, and that worldview is, I want to be the best hero that there ever is, and anybody who, is going to take that away from me is my enemy, is someone I gotta fight and put down. But if they're not going to do that, I won't go after them. This first dialogue is basically evidence of that. Him saying that he was in my way and it was his fault. That's very reactive. That's not saying like, oh, Deku, like, I hate his existence and I need him to go die. Like no, it's literally like there was a necessity. Deku was in his way of his dream. And remember, his dream is to become the greatest hero. If Deku didn't stand in his way, if Deku just kept dreaming on his own, Kacchan could care less. He'd be like, okay, whatever. Be an all-might nerd. But no, Deku's like, no, I'm gonna go to UA. I'm gonna go to UA. I'm gonna be the greatest hero. I'm literally gonna fight you, Kacchan. Kacchan's just like, what? Also note that, what Kacchan says here is very childish. Like, you are 14 years old. Why are you saying things like, he was in my way. It's his fault. And, also harping on the whole practicality point, this is where Kacchan demonstrates that. He literally says in the next panel, つうか、てめえら、タバコやめろったら、だろう。My Japanese is so bad. Basically that's saying, hey, by the way, I told you guys to stop smoking tobacco. And then he says that, バレたら、俺の内心にまで火の粉かがんだだろ? He says that if you get caught, it's gonna get on my record too. Again, if he's worried about these boys smoking outside, away from the school grounds, and that getting on his record, there is no way that Kacchan would bully Deku on a daily basis. That would get on his record. And I don't know too much about, bullying in, Japan, or even East Asia, or, outside of America. Based on just what I know from anime, like, it can be pretty bad, and, like, teachers might turn a blind eye, might just tell you to be like, please just socially conform. And again, this is me speaking out of my ass. I don't know. I haven't done my research. However, I would imagine that with, Kacchan's turd of a personality and his quirk, it would be pretty obvious if he's picking on Deku. And it would have an impact on Deku if he's been bullying him for a while. But the fact that he hasn't, and the fact that, he's just, so scared about, tobacco ending up on his record, doesn't make sense for him to be bullying Deku. It's counterintuitive to his goal. Again, remember, Kacchan only cares about, being the best hero, the number one hero. Bullying does not serve these needs, and that is why Kacchan is not a bully. And also, that is why he's more complicated than that. And this is just from chapter 1. But we get this interesting expose into Kacchan's psyche cut short, because in the next page, the sludge monster is like, yum yum, teenage boy. Wait, preteen boy. Yum yum. Time to take his quirk, be an evil villain, because that's my purpose. I am a sludge monster. And then we get the scene where poor Deku is like, Almighty, I need to ask you a question. Literally, he's like, Mate, and then All Might's like, no, matanai. And then Deku's like, Kose ga nakute mo hero wa dekimasu ka? Meaning, even if I don't have a quirk, can I be a hero? And then the next page, he's like, Kose no nai ningen demo anata mitai ni naremasu ka? Which means, even quirkless people, can they become like you? And this is where I kind of want to be like, this is what I mean about All Might being an obstacle to Deku's journey to becoming the greatest hero. Because, if you remember, All Might is literally the reason why, his sole reason why he wants to be a hero. He was inspired by All Might's, ability to save people no matter what. It's that inspiration that keeps him going. Like, whenever he gets sad, whenever people are like, you can't do it, well, he's like, but All Might wouldn't give up. All Might will save people. I want to save people. That is so cool. But this is a scene where All Might's like, you can't just give it up. You don't have a quirk. If you don't have a quirk, logically, you can't be a hero. You're just not gonna make it. And that devastates him. This is kind of where, like, okay, we've set up that All Might is an obstacle. And we skip right into more Kacchan. So Kacchan is raging. He got captured by the sludge monster, and his lackeys are useless. And they get captured by Kamui Woods. Or Kamui Woods comes over to, like, rescue them, and they manage to get him, but Kacchan is kind of stuck there. He's like trying to like blow up the sludge monster. He's like screaming. He's like, "Rah!" And then he's just like, "Konna dobu otoko ni ore ga nomareru ka?" I will not lose to this stupid extra, Well, in Japanese, he doesn't call him extra. He calls him dobu, which is the same thing, I guess. That's just the official translation. They picked the extras. I think. I didn't read the official translation from the beginning. I only started reading the official translation in the recent chapters. I have like a very spotty consumption of Boku no Hero. I watched the anime, and after that I read the manga. Like after I started reading the manga in the Yakuza arc. Anyway, the sludge monster's like, Ere, chikara, korea, oh, atari da ze. He's got the good catch. He says that this boy's quirk is super strong, so strong that he can probably go up against All Might. And then, okay, and the rest of the panels are just the pro heroes being useless. They're all like, oh, we don't have a quirk that goes well against, the sludge monster. We're just gonna have to wait for somebody to come save Kacchan. And All Might, he shows him the back. He's like, oh no, I am pathetic because I'm hurt. I can't transform. I cannot save the boy. He's just paralyzed. And then we cut to Deku, whose Kacchan senses are tingling. And Deku is holding his burnt notebook. And he's having flashbacks of everything that people have said to him. And I want to point out that these flashbacks don't include Kacchan's words. Again, we're going back to if we're gonna go back to the theory of like Kacchan's a bully and Kacchan ruins his life, like, okay, Kacchan's important, but not like that. Literally. Here's 1, 2, 3 flashbacks. None of them include what Kacchan said. The first one is そうに現実も見なくてはな. I think this is a quote from All Might. He's basically saying like you need to open your eyes to reality. And then a second flashback. This is from the Long Fingers guy. 中3になってもまだ彼は現実が見えてないのです。Yep, that's from Long Fingers. Basically saying like even though he's a third year middle schooler, he still hasn't opened up his eyes to reality. Everyone's talking about reality. And then the last quote, or the last flashback in his brain that's happening right now as he's walking is 本格的に将来を考えていく時期だ. This is from the teacher. And this is when the teacher says that this is a time you should start looking to your future, being serious about your future. What do you want to do? And poor Deku, this is where he's just like, okay, you knew this already. You knew what reality was. You just didn't want to look to it. And he's already trying to shift his, perspective, try to accept reality. Because if he doesn't shift his perspective, he's gonna get depressed. He's not gonna be able to move on, and he will really become a sad character, and who knows what happened to him. But he's very strong. He's a very strong character, and by that I mean, like, he doesn't let these things get to him. Literally, in this one panel where he's crying, he's sniffling his nose, but it's like him already processing all these things, and he's already like, giving himself a pep talk, like, yo, it's cool. You're still cool. You just become a cop now, or whatever you want to be. Give yourself some time. Like, he's very nice to himself, and then he realizes that he's headed to where the action is happening. By action, I mean where the pro heroes are trying to fight off sludge monster, Sludgy. We're gonna call him Sludgy, okay? And he's like, 見ないように、おいおい、伏せでつい来ちゃったてか、やめとけ、今、見なくしなるだけだて. Okay, so basically this panel has Deku looking in the direction of the shopping district where this crowd of people, are just watching poor Kacchan get suffocated by Sludgy, and Deku's just like, yo, boy, to himself. Did I come out of here out of habit? I should really stop that, And he kind of like inches closer, and then he sees あいつなんで? Which is like, what is that? And he's referring to the Sludgy. Sludgy is like being sludgy and like awful. And like I saw this pointed out on Twitter like today. People were like awful. Like they were cheering and smiling as this boy literally is about to lose his life. But of course Deku, he's just like, oh my god, this is really terrible. He realizes that Sludgy fell out of the bottle that All Might had because he jumped on All Might's leg. He's like, he literally is like, All Might 逃げられたのか? He got away? 落とした? He dropped? だとしたら? He's like, if so. And he's like, 僕のせい. Which means, it's my fault! And he starts, getting eaten up by that guilt, and he covers his mouth. And he's just like, oh, I'm so sorry, someone's gonna save you. Like, amidst, like, everyone being a butt and just smiling, literally being like, oh yeah, don't worry, All Might, where are you? And everything. Deku's just being like, 僕のせいだ, 彼は動けない. He's just like, it's my fault, he can't move. あいつはつかめない. He's caught. 有利な個性のヒーローを待つしかない. We can only wait for a hero with the suitable quirk. And then he's just like, 頑張って。ごめんなさい。すぐに助けが来てくれるから、誰かヒーローがすぐ. So what he's saying is that he's like, hang in there. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Really soon, a hero is gonna come and save you. Someone, a hero, will come save you. Notice how, everyone's saying like, oh, well, Deku is someone who, saves recklessly anybody. But literally in these 3 panels, he wasn't gonna go jump out. He wasn't. He literally was just like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, this is all my fault, and like, I can't do anything. Like, he's resigned. But when you turn the page and you see, the Sludgy, or actually Kacchan, he has managed to turn Sludgy's head. He makes these eyes of, I need a hero! Deku's eyes just go wide, and the next panel, he just dashes forward! I'm sorry, that was me, tapping the desk because I'm so excited for this moment. And, everyone, including All Might and the pro heroes, are like, what? Exclamation mark? Question mark. And then they're all like, Bakero! Tomare! Which is like, stop it, you dummy. Stop. And then the Sludgy's like, あのガキ what? It's that kid that I tried to suffocate earlier, but failed, because I'm a loser villain. And Kacchan's like, Deku! He knows his hero has come to save him. And then we get like a very poignant shot of Deku dropping the notebook. The dreams that everyone has, you know, stomped on, Kacchan burned with his quirk. Because what's really important right now is that his body is not listening to him, and it has to go to Sludgy and save Kacchan, you know. And even in this moment, he's just like, Nande? Nande? Deta? Nani shitenda? Nande? He's like, I don't understand. I understand. And then, you know, Sludgy's like, somebody wants to die too. But, you know, Deku's like, I gotta think fast, Takes off his backpack, thinks about this one page that, you know, is burnt. Somehow he knows how it looks like burnt. Maybe he was looking at it, you know, as he was walking home. It's page 25. I have no idea what it says. I think it probably talks about, like, you gotta, you know, throw a distraction, use your means. So he throws his backpack. The power of school supplies will save Kacchan. And literally the sludge monster's like, ugh! And then Deku's like, Kacchan! And then Kacchan's just like, Nande? Temega! Why is it you? And then, you know, Deku starts blubbering. It's just like, Ashi ga katte ni nande tte wakanai kedo. And then we get adult Deku saying, Hirohiro rikutsu wa atta to omou, tada sono toki wa. And then we come back to just Deku saying, Kimi ga tasuke o motomeru kao shite ta. So let me translate that. As Deku is clawing away at the sludge monster, he is explaining that this happened because my legs and my arms just suddenly moved. I don't know why I'm doing it. And then adult Deku says that there were a lot of reasons. I thought there were a lot of reasons. But at that time, the only thought was because Kacchan had a face that said he wanted to be saved. He needed to be saved. That is literally what current Deku is saying. Kimi ga tasuke o motomeru kao shite ta. Kind of going back to the panel in the middle where adult Deku was saying like, oh, there were a lot of reasons. Because literally there were a lot of reasons that were going through like Deku's head. One of them, and these are all just like quotes and also just like thoughts. Literally one of them is Kacchan, by the way. I'm not joking. If any of you guys have the Japanese manga, literally one of his thoughts is Kacchan. Like this boy, Jesus! It's not even just like, oh no, Kacchan's in it. It's just Kacchan. That's just a permanent thought in his brain. You know, it's just a permanent space, living there rent free. But yeah, some of the thoughts in here are like, boku no sei, it's my fault. Akirameta hou ga, which is me saying like, you probably should give up. You know, or we're starting to imply that. And then, hai, ganbarimasu. Oh, this quote is from earlier today, when the random stranger was like, oh, good luck on you being a hero. And he's just like, I will do my best, you know? And then the next one is, Nande ore to onaji dohyou ni tateru nda? You think, and this is actually a Kacchan quote. Kacchan is saying like, why do you think you can stand in the same arena as me? Do you think you can stand in the same arena as me? And then there's the Kacchan, literally just Kacchan. And then this is another quote. This is from him earlier in the day, where he's just like, well, he says, yatte minai to, which means like, well, you never know if you don't try. And then there's mokyou nanda, what is my purpose? And then there's chou kakkoi hero sa. So he's just saying like, it's super cool. I think this is, you know, a quote from when he was a little kid, and he's saying like, All Might is so cool. And then after that, there's so ni genjitsu mo minakute wa na. All Might quote saying like, you should open your eyes to reality. And then egao de tasukechau nanda. Kid Deku quote where he's just like, oh, he saves people with a smile. But again, all this doesn't matter, because the one that matters the most is Kimi ga tasuke o motomeru kao shite ta, which means, Kacchan, your face, you told me you need to be saved, you need a hero. Like, he needed to see Kacchan's face in order to do stuff. And if that's not love, I don't know what we're reading, okay? We're not reading the same manga, apparently. Like if you don't think Deku cares about Kacchan, like, literally, like, this is the page where it literally cuts that down. Like, he cares about Deku. I mean, he cares about Kacchan. Kacchan, once he saw Kacchan's face, he went from, I'm so sorry, it's my fault, I'm just gonna wait with everyone else for a hero to come save me. No, he was just like, he saw the face and he was like, I am that hero. Like, Kacchan literally made Hero Deku come out. Yeah. And then, although this is very, like, brave of him and stuff, the next panel is All Might noticing that Kacchan is at his limit. Deku's heroicness, beginning of his heroicness, inspires All Might to finally do something. Goes into his muscular form, and then he does a Detroit smash, and then like everything blows away, and like the skies are clear, and everyone's like, oh my god, All Might was sugoi! And then poor Kacchan and Deku on the floor, and then like the aftermath. Deku says that the pro heroes, are scolding him, but they didn't scold Kacchan. Instead, the opposite happened. They were praising him for his quirk. They were like, wow, you're really cool, you're really good. It's just very messed up. Like, this kid literally almost died. And these guys are just saying like, wow, you did a good job hanging there. Whereas with Deku, they were like, you dummy, you didn't have a quirk, you just ran in there. But it's like, if it wasn't for Deku, Kacchan would be dead. Like, come on, Deku is a hero. You better praise him. And this is also where I think you can see that Kacchan's demeanor towards Deku changes. I mean, makes sense. Deku undoubtedly, with certainty, saved him, and he knows this. He's not happy. No, like this kid. Like you think like in the previous chapters, like he'd be happy. People acknowledging how powerful his quirk is. That is literally what he's used to. He literally earlier in the scene, he tells. He's a cocky little bastard, and he tells the teacher, don't lump me along with all these other, extras. They have like pathetic quirks and blah blah blah. My quirk is really great. But when this pro hero literally is like, your quirk is really great, he's just like pouting. There's like this shadow cast on his face. His hands are on his knees, and he's just like looking. He's like deep in thought. And then the last panel, he looks to the side. And which direction he's looking in? He's looking in the direction of the panel that Deku is in. He's looking at Deku. He's like, this panel basically is implying that he's thinking about Deku. I mean, you can also say like, oh, but he's probably just being sulky. But I argue that if he's gonna be sulky, he can look the other way. He can look in the other direction. He can look in the page. You turning the page. That would have worked fine. But there's a reason why Horikoshi decided for Kacchan to look in the panel that Deku is in. And I believe in the anime, they make it clear that Kacchan, is glaring at Deku. He's not happy. He's like, it lit my inferiority complex. That is what happened. And when you turn the page, I believe the scene that occurs supports this view. Because they go home, and guess what Kacchan has done? He's ran after Deku. Oh my god, if he didn't care about Deku, if he just was like, man, this kid, I'm gonna like ruin his life forever, why would you run after Deku? And to top it off, to scream things at him, scream statements. Why? Because his worldview has been challenged, and he knows that it's been affected, and it's changing, but he doesn't want to change it, right? And so he's trying to like, he's doing the weird thing where he knows Deku will understand him, whatever he says, like understand him on some level, but at the same time he wants Deku to like reaffirm him. Like, you can only do that if you know the person is gonna reaffirm you, right? But at the same time, it's just like, no, like Deku is someone I'm scared of. So that's why you get this fantastic set of dialogue. He says, 俺はてめえに助けを求めてなんかねえぞ. I was not asking you for your help. 助けられてもねえ. You did not help me. Which is basically like, right? Please reaffirm me. My inferiority complex is railing off the charts. And he's like shaking, right? He's making this like, he's gritting his teeth, and he's just like, this poor boy, man. I feel so sad for him. And the next thing is, 一人でやれたんだ. I did it by myself. I didn't get help from you. And then he says, 不公正の出来損ないが見下すんじゃねえぞ. You don't have a quirk? Don't you dare look down on me. Like, you don't even have a quirk. Like, don't look down on me. And then he says, he's trying to say, are you trying to make me owe you? I'm not gonna try. And he's like, 俺を, and then he just, クソなどが! And then Deku literally thinks toughness. So, how do I break this down? If you notice, this is a really weird scene if Kacchan really believed these things. If he believed these things, like, there's no need for you to go up to Deku and make sure he knows. The reason why he ran to Deku is because part of him is like, I know he saved me, and that bugs him. And he should thank Deku, but thanking Deku would mean to him acknowledging that Deku is something. And logically, Deku is nothing. Deku doesn't have a quirk. Deku shouldn't be able to do anything because it doesn't have a quirk, right? That's literally what he's saying. He's just like, look, I didn't need your help because you don't have a quirk. How could you help me? But you helped me, and you didn't have a quirk, which means I was right about you all along. You are still a hero. You are still someone to be feared, even though you don't have a quirk. Like, he just literally cannot understand. He has this black and white view of like, if you have quirk, you are human. You can do things. If you don't have quirk, well, I guess you're still human, but you can't do things. Like, you cannot coexist. But Deku is a walking contradiction. Deku, even if he cannot fight against people with quirks, as a 4-year-old, he's fought against Kacchan before. Deku has literally, like, defied this worldview that he's grown up with, that is reinforced by society. You know, when you have such a clear example of an abnormality of society, it's really hard for you to maintain that sanity, maintain that worldview. And that is what, you know, Kacchan has presented to Deku. He's, you know, in a really messed up way, is saying, Deku, I acknowledge that you saved me, but I am very insecure about this. But we're childhood friends, so I expect you to understand that I'm very disturbed by this, but like, I acknowledge you. But at the same time, like, I have pride, so it ends up as this weird, like, insistence that, you know, I'm still strong and stuff. And then he, like, walks away, and just like, yeah, you're a dumb nerd. I don't know how to explain, I don't know how to articulate this. Like, do you understand, like, how this dialogue doesn't come from someone who looks down on Deku. It's coming from someone trying to convince himself that he has reason to look down on Deku, when inside, he thinks really highly of Deku. He, inside, acknowledges that Deku is a hero, that he saves people. He can save people. The only thing that's stopping him is quirk. He doesn't have a quirk, and that bugs him, because even though he knows, like, there's no way that Deku can have a quirk, he's quirkless, it's like, you know, Kacchan is too smart for his own good. He's just like, no, this boy can be a hero, and if Deku can be a hero, then like, what do I have? All I have is a strong quirk. That's literally the worth that society has made Kacchan see himself in. His quirk. Your quirk is strong, which means you're gonna be a great hero. Take away that quirk. What are you, though? With Deku, he doesn't have a quirk, and yet he still has value, you know? And that's what's scary. And that's exactly what will lead to their explosive diarrhea fights in the future. Kacchan's insecurity. Okay, now I'm gonna break down what Deku said. It was a joke. Toughness. Literally, toughness. Which means, oh yeah, Kacchan and his tough act. I know he has no malice. In fact, he's like, man, that's kind of cute. Because in the next panel, there's this like shoujo-esque depiction of his face, looking in the direction that Kacchan left. And yes, okay, the purpose of this is just to kind of like set up for the next joke. Next panel. But it's kind of like to kind of show that, hey, I guess I can finally put away my dream. I've killed it in a very beautiful manner. I've saved someone. You know, I got my thrill. I wanted to be a hero. I got to be a hero in like a really grand way. And he's trying to convince himself of that. But also, like, Deku, you could have, like, I don't know, looked down. Could have looked like, he didn't have to face the viewer. He could have, like, Horikoshi could have drawn him in a profile view and still conveyed the same message, you know, looking into the distance. But he looked in the direction of Kacchan, because we don't see him changing, like, there's no indication, there's no tick in the picture that indicates that he's turned his head or anything. He's literally looking the same direction as Kacchan. And this again is like, me one, I can make a joke about it and say that like he's looking at Kacchan fondly. He's just like, oh, Kacchan's so cute, like he's all trying to be tough, but oh man, he's just a big baby and whatever, I know him. But two, it's also symbolic. Kacchan represents the moment that he became a hero. And him looking to that is symbolic of him actually going to be a hero soon. And of course he's going to look at it fondly because he's going to be a hero. He got to be a hero. And that makes him happy. Okay, also this is the thing. If he hated Kacchan, why would he look in the direction of Kacchan with such a face? Like, guys, if you have the manga, crack open to this scene where Kacchan's being a dummy McDummerson and says absolutely nothing of worth, and then, you know, Deku being like, ugh, trying to be tough, or like, what was that, you know? And then just the panel is there's finally like two tones. There's a gray tone, there's a black tone, and there's like a very soft shadow on his face. It's so shoujo-esque. It's so soft, and there's like a little gradient in the back too. I'm just saying, this boy, he loves Kacchan! He showed it when he went to go save Kacchan, and now he's just looking at him like Kacchan's Sugoi, like, boy, he need a better hobby. Anyways, so after this, Orumaito comes by and is like, bro, actually I take it back. You could be a hero. And then Deku literally starts crying. He's literally grasping his heart because this means so much to him. He was about to give up his dream, but with Kacchan letting him be a hero, he's unlocked. He's opened the gate to becoming a hero for real. And that is why Bakudeku is legitimate and is valid. And from the very beginning, Bakudeku is a thing. Literally, Kacchan is the reason why he becomes a hero. Kacchan is literally the reason why Deku was heroic, and as a result, All Might opened the door to pro-hero life, or the pro-hero career. And ultimately, Deku, you know, getting one for all, and like, you know, meeting like rivals and like going to UA. All because of Kacchan. I am screaming it to the hilltops. Kacchan was the catalyst. Well, that is the end of episode 2 in... sorry. Episode 2? I think this is all... Oh, yeah. This was the end of episode 2 in the anime, and this is also where I'm going to end this podcast, because this is also the end of actually chapter 1 in the manga. Chapter 1 of the manga actually goes on for very long. That's a combination of, like, episode 1 and 2 from the anime. But yeah, that is it for this episode. I think this one was definitely a little bit more rambly than the first one. I think, well, that might have also been because that was a second re-recording. Well, then again, this is a second re-recording too. Well, anyway, thank you so much for coming to the second episode of this podcast, and I hope to see you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed this.